All right, let's jump right into one of the biggest questions you can possibly ask. What is the ultimate nature of reality? Today, we're going to explore how two brilliant thinkers from completely different corners of the world, we're talking an 11th century Persian philosopher and the Buddha, both ended up using a startlingly similar method, a method that suggests the final truth might be something that kind of flips everything we think we know on its head.
So, what if the ultimate truth, the final answer, isn't something that can exist? I know, it sounds like a total contradiction, right? A logical impossibility. But stick with me, because wrapping your head around this one paradoxical idea is the key to unlocking two of the most extraordinary philosophical systems ever conceived.
Okay, so our first stop on this journey takes us way back to the 11th century Islamic world. We're going to dive into the mind of this incredible Persian philosopher, Naser Khosrow. And let me tell you, he came up with an idea about God that is so radical, it literally forces you to question what it even means for something to be.
So look at this. Khosrow says to know the originator of truth is to negate beings and non-beings from him. Now, that completely flips our normal way of thinking, doesn't it? He's basically saying, hey, you want to know God? Stop trying to say what God is. Instead, focus on everything God is not. For him, that's where true knowledge actually begins. You have to peel away all our limited human concepts that we try to project onto the source of everything.
To really get his logic, we need to understand this one crucial term. It's huiyat. Now, it's a fancy word, but it basically just means being or identity, that quality of isness. Think about it. A chair is. The sky is. You are. Anything you can point at and say, that exists, has huiyat. And here's Khosrow's big insight. Every single thing that is has a cause, right? Something had to bring it into existence.
So this leads to a pretty mind-blowing but totally logical conclusion. Let's follow the steps. 1. The creator is the uncaused cause, the absolute source of everything. 2. Anything that is, anything with that quality of huiyat, must have a cause. So 3. The creator simply can't be in the same way a rock or a star is. It has to be something completely beyond our categories of being and even non-being. It's off the charts entirely.
Yeah, I know. That is a wild concept, right? A source of all reality that doesn't technically exist in the normal sense. But here's the crazy part. Was Khosrow the only one thinking this way? Let's take a jump across the globe and see if this idea pops up somewhere else, in a totally different tradition.
And that brings us to our second path, Buddhism. And what's so fascinating is that when you start looking at how they talk about their ultimate goal, nirvana, you see the exact same kind of language. They use this negative approach to talk about a truth that you just can't quite put into words.
Check out this famous passage from the Buddha describing nirvana. Notice what he does here. He doesn't tell you what it is, he tells you what it's not. It's not earth, it's not water, it's not heat, it's not air. It's like he's saying, whatever you're thinking of, that ain't it. Sound familiar? It's the same technique Khosrow used, pointing to something by clearing away everything it isn't.
And then you get this line, probably one of the most famous in all of Buddhism. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Now, this is a real head-scratcher. It's a paradox that's meant to completely break our normal way of seeing things. It's saying that all this solid stuff we see around us, it's not just related to this thing called emptiness, it is emptiness.
Okay, this is so important. When you hear emptiness or shunyata, your brain probably jumps to, well, nothing, a big black void. But that's not it at all. It's actually the opposite. It means that nothing exists by itself. Everything is completely interconnected. The flower analogy is perfect. A flower is empty of being just a flower because it's totally made up of things that aren't the flower. The sun, the water, the dirt. It's all about interdependence. So let's take a step back. We've got two totally separate traditions, right? One is negating being from God. The other is talking about emptiness being the real nature of everything. They're using a similar tool, but are they actually pointing to the same moon? Are they talking about the same ultimate reality? Well, this is where the plot really thickens. Because the answer is no, not even close. You see, when you peel back that one layer of similarity in their method, you find this massive philosophical Grand Canyon between them. Their fundamental ideas about, well, everything are worlds apart.
This chart really spells it out. Let's just walk through this. On Khosrow's side, you've got a creator God. The world is created by him. And importantly, you are a real soul trying to get back to that God.
The end goal is knowing God. Now flip over to the Buddhist side. The ultimate reality? Not a who, but a what. Emptiness, interdependence. The world? It just arises from causes and effects. And you? That self you're so sure about? It's an illusion. The goal isn't to know a creator, it's to wake up from that illusion and end your suffering.
And honestly, this idea of anatta, or no self, is probably the single biggest dividing line. Khosrow's whole system is built on the idea of a real soul making a journey. Buddhism comes along and says, whoa, hold on, that very feeling of being a solid, separate me, that's the problem. That's where all the suffering comes from. It's a total game changer.
So you're probably thinking, okay, if there's no me, then what is all this? Good question. Buddhism says what we think of as me is actually just a temporary bundle of 5 things, called the 5 aggregates. You've got your body, your feelings, your perceptions, your thoughts, and just plain old consciousness. The I isn't some boss sitting in an office in your head. The I is just the constant, messy, ever-changing flow of all that stuff happening at once. It's a process, not a thing. It's a huge shift in how you see yourself, and before we see how this idea actually pops up somewhere else, I just wanted to take a quick moment. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear what you think. Your support really means a lot and helps we keep creating content for you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, thanks for that. So here's where it gets even cooler. You might be tempted to file these ideas under Eastern mysticism or Islamic theology and call it a day, but no way. These exact same questions, what is real, what am I, have been at the absolute heart of Western philosophy for ages. Turns out, these are just human questions, period.
Remember Naser Khosrow and his God beyond being? Well, he didn't pull that out of thin air. He was a Neoplatonist, and that idea goes all the way back to a Roman philosopher named Plotinus, centuries earlier. Plotinus called the ultimate source the One, and he said the exact same thing. It's beyond existence, beyond thought, beyond any label you could ever slap on it.
And what about the Buddhist idea of no self? You are not going to believe this. Fast forward to 18th century Scotland, the philosopher David Hume decides to do a little introspection. He looks inside his own mind, searching for this self that everyone talks about. And you know what he found? Nothing. Zilch. All he could find was, in his words, a bundle of different perceptions that were always changing. I mean, come on. That is almost word for word the Buddhist concept of the 5 aggregates. It's uncanny.
So, where does that leave us? What are we supposed to make of all this? I think a good way to look at it is like this. We've been looking at 2 very different maps. One map is theological, and the other is psychological. But even though the maps are different, they both seem to be for the same territory. They're both trying to guide us to a reality that's way deeper than the one we see every day. They're part of the same human search.
The first map, the one from Naser Khosrow, is all about theology. The journey on this map goes upward, you could say. It's the path of the soul reaching for its source, a creator who is so ultimate we can't even say that it is. This map is all about faith, about logic, and about finding our relationship to the grand mystery that created everything.
And then there's the second map, the Buddhist one. This one is all about psychology. The journey here isn't upward, it's an inward. It's a deep dive into your own mind. The goal isn't to find God, it's to take apart the illusion that you're a separate self. This map is about mindfulness, about seeing clearly, and about realizing that you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the entire ocean in a drop. It's about seeing that interconnected reality and ending suffering.
And so that leaves us with one final massive question. Both of these incredibly deep traditions are telling us that the way we normally see the world, me over here, you over there, a world full of separate things, is basically wrong. It's an illusion. So you have 2 maps out of that illusion. One leads to a creator who's beyond existence itself. The other leads to a reality where there is no self, only connection. Which map is the right one? Or are they both pointing to the same place, just using different words? Well, that's a question that ultimately only you can answer.